Some of you have been asking me to review Ahsoka for some time now. So I finally broke down and watched the first 3 episodes to see what my obnoxious old Padawan has been up to these past few years. And not to get snippy or anything, but Ahsoka's never been one of my favorite characters, to be perfectly honest. But I am the chosen one. I'm meant to bring balance to the Force and everything. So I wanted to give this series a fair and balanced review, balancing the positives or light side with my negatives or the dark side. So I'm certain the burning question on everyone's mind is Ahsoka a sweaty bantha turd like the Book of Boba Fett? Well, no, but that doesn't mean it's good either. In all honesty, I didn't hate it as much as some of you probably want me to, but I didn't like it as much as some of you want me to either. But before we move along as my stormtroopers would say, I want to take a moment to thank my brave heroes of the Empire for their generosity and support. Battalion Commander Matthew Nicholson, Admiral John Crawford, and Joseph Berlinger. Incidentally, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, my friend, because you deserve it. Your generosity has staggered me. And real quick, I did see the first episode of LEGO Star Wars Freemakers that you suggested, and I really enjoyed it. It was cute, it was funny, and I hope there are more episodes of it here on YouTube so I can watch more of the series and talk about it more in depth in the future. But back to my pesky Padawan. Is the Force with Ahsoka, or does it choke on its aspirations? First, on the light side, the musical score by Kevin Kiner, who also scored the Clone Wars cartoon series, brings back the classic Star Wars tone that has been sadly lacking in many of these Disney Plus Star Wars shows. On the dark side, however, the characters are often bland and boring, particularly Ahsoka. She basically has one emotion and facial expression throughout the entire show so far, and while I found her snippy attitude acerbic, grating, and obnoxious in the cartoon series, at least she had some kind of personality. Back to the light side, the space battles and starships we see in this series add a little bit of that classic Star Wars magic into the mix. I always love a good space battle, particularly when they try spinning, because as everyone knows, that's a good trick. We need more space in these shows, I think, because after all, it's not called Ground Wars, it's called Star Wars. On the dark side, however, when it gets to those ground wars, unfortunately the lightsaber choreography leaves much to be desired. In short, they are clumsy as they are stupid. Enough has been said about Sabine surviving being stabbed through the liver with a lightsaber, but my real problem with the fight choreography is how staged and rehearsed it appears. There is no flow or rhythm to the fights. They move from pose to pose, without any real intent behind their attacks. The best way I can describe it is that it kind of reminds me of Deep Space Nine, when Worf would do his martial arts. There was this slow, choppy nature to it, almost like they're giving the stuntmen time to know what's coming, and they would always hold their final pose for a bit longer than necessary. But at least I can be thankful that Inquisitor guy doesn't fly in on his automatic spinning lightsaber like the Penguin from Batman. Huh? Oh yeah, they do that in the cartoons. They fly now. Lightsabers are helicopters. And if you're wondering why I don't like these cartoons that much, it's because of crap like this. But speaking of lightsabers, back to the light side. I did enjoy the fact that when Ahsoka is training Sabine in the ways of the Force, Sabine wears a mask that obscures her vision as a callback to Luke in Episode 4. They call this form of training the Zatoichi method. And for those of you who don't know, Zatoichi is the name of the popular blind swordsman character played by Shintaro Katsu in a series of 25 films from 1962 to 1973. He reprised his role for 100 episodes of a television series based on the same character. You can find some of the Zatoichi films and episodes of the television series here on YouTube, so do yourself a favor and check it out. Now, one of my biggest complaints about the Ahsoka series so far is that it hasn't really grabbed my attention. Granted, I'm not really the target audience for this show because I didn't really care for the Clone Wars cartoon or Rebels. So I'm sure you'll get more mileage out of this series if you really love those cartoons growing up. But the show feels like it falls into the same trap of mini-shows on TV these days, which is the mystery box format. The whole, hey, just stick with us, because once you get the big reveal at the end of the season, this'll all be worth it. But unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, the reveal leaves much to be desired. Call me an old geezer if you want, but I miss when a show would have a strong pilot that gave you the flavor and feel of a show. Sure, there would be plot points that would be revealed later on, but they gave you enough to hook you, to know what you're in for when you tune into the show week by week, instead of forcing you to watch the whole season to know whether or not you're even interested in the story they're trying to tell. I binged the first 3 episodes of Ahsoka at a friend's house all in one go, and I'm pretty glad I did, because I would have been bored out of my mind waiting week after week for those episodes. And honestly, if something big doesn't happen in episode 4, I'm probably just gonna wait for the rest of the episodes to come out, if I even watch them at all. For me, the Ahsoka series isn't offensive to me in the way that The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, The Book of Boba Fett, or even the Kenobi show to a certain degree was. But I don't really enjoy Ahsoka either. It's just kind of there. It doesn't ruin anything I cared about, but it doesn't really hook me either. In the end, your enjoyment of this series depends greatly on your own point of view. And who knows, my point of view might change if they do something wizard like have Hayden Christensen show up as a Force ghost, or have that one Inquisitor guy turn out to be Starkiller from the Force Unleashed games. Seeing my old Jedi Padawan throw down against my secret Sith apprentice would be pretty wizard indeed. I also wouldn't mind seeing Luke show up. I never get tired of seeing my boy on screen, as long as he's shown the proper respect he deserves. But those are my thoughts on the show. What did you think of it? Comment below and let me know. This has been Vader Reviews, bringing balance to the Force once again. May the Force be with you all.